Cleveland Browns faithful, welcome back on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. A disgusting result to this Week 2 contest between our Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. 41-17 final from Baltimore. 21 points given up in the fourth quarter. We have a lot of thoughts. We have a lot of discussion points, not only about this game, but obviously moving forward, what this team is going to do. Are they serious? Does anybody care? Does the top brass even give a damn? Because, hey, we're tanking. We got all these first round picks next year. And, let's just hope that we could, hopefully the Jaguars lose all their games. And we're just stocking up picks for the 2026 draft. Uncle, welcome on in. Thanks for joining us here again, per the usual.
Hello.
Initial reaction and thoughts off the top here.
Well, initial reaction is, once again, and we've said it, there's zero margin for error with this outfit. You take that defense played a tremendous football game.
Sure did.
And I mean, they stuffed Henry. All the talking they did, they shut him up, they shut Lamar up, and they still gave up 41 points. I mean, it's unbelievable. But we're used to it. What could go wrong? How long are we going to have to talk about Bubba Ventrone? What special teams miscue is it going to be next week? It's either the missed field goal, a kick return, a punt return. I mean, it was a blocked punt today. Bojorquez, who's our MVP, almost got himself killed. Just disgusting. I mean, and here's the thing, Myles Garrett is putting forward that effort, right?
Absolutely.
But how much longer are you going to see him putting that effort forward?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, this team has a real, genuine chance. And so once again, it's all going to come back to week 1 because you're at a whole different juncture. If you win the game that you should have won last week, you're an 11.5 point favorites, like Mike genuinely and generally points out here. I can't even speak. I'm over it though. I'm already going to be over it because you have a real shot of being 0-6 here. The 11.5 point difference this week we thought was a lot, wasn't really anything at the end of the day. There was 19 different ways this Ravens team could have won by 20 today. And that's with the defense playing good. That's with the box score and the stats and everything still kind of turning up to be in the Browns' favor. You have more total yards. You have more passing yards. You have more rushing yards. You have a similar amount of yards per play. You have 3 more first downs. You run more plays than them. But doesn't really matter at the end of the day because a tale as old as time with this Ravens franchise. They beat you basically in every other facet besides on the defensive side of the ball. I thought our defense played good enough to win the football game today. Sure, the Ravens hang 41 points. Doesn't really matter if you're watching the game. Stupid interception by Flacco. Stupid fumble 6 by Flacco. And then obviously the blocked punt gifted them points as well. So, hey, to me, it doesn't really matter because you're in for a long season here. This team has 2 or 3 wins most on the docket that I could see. That's even being generous. You might as well not even get 3 wins if it's going to hold you from being the first overall pick. To me, it's doom, it's gloom. It's going to be a long season here.
We gave them a short field.
Yes.
We gave them a short field. We hold them to a field goal. He throws that long bomb to Hopkins, which everybody thinks is a touchdown.
Yep.
And on the half-yard line, we stop them, and they kick a field goal. I mean, the defense kept the offense in the game. And is it the play calls? Is it Flacco? I mean, the interception was. And the commentators were right to tear him up.
Absolutely.
Because that was something that you would tear up Gabriel, you would tear up Cam, anybody for throwing that football, let alone a 40-year-old man who's been in the league for 18 years. Why he forced that ball. But once again, it all comes back to there's no margin for error. One thing snowballs. And you're like, here we go, and it's just it all balloons. Sadly, we're now the Bengals game. It's going to get farther and farther away.
Oh yeah.
The Packers are a buzzsaw. We saw Gabriel. People are going to talk this week. Oh, Gabriel, he came in and moved the ball. The Ravens were playing. They were playing soft coverage defense, so I wouldn't get too excited about that. But I, what else can you? I mean, the defense has done everything you've asked them to do.
I agree with you. And here's the thing at this point, and we're going to talk a lot about this week. There's not really much to talk about with this game. I think that, you don't need an analyst degree. You don't need to be a head coach, an offensive coordinator, someone who watches film to diagnose this game and break it down from a fundamental standpoint, because it's really not that hard to see. My issue with the situation is a lot of stuff that you saw last week didn't really carry forward. Fannin, okay, he's all right. Samson basically not involved in the game plan until it too little too late. He scores a touchdown, doesn't really matter.
Did the Cowboys tie this up here? We have live action. Did the Cowboys, after Neighbors with the touchdown, do we have overtime?
Could be. 37-37.
That's
the crazy part. There's some good games on here at this 1 o'clock slate. It's just the Browns weren't one of them. But
the Browns weren't one of them.
If you go over and we ask our friends over at Chat GPT, I think this is what a lot of people should really be taking into account here. Not that it would have mattered anyway, but teams that start the season 0-2, 11.5% chance to make the playoffs since 1990. So this is pretty much all. This is all you needed to see. And the issue that I have with this week in specific, and why I'm going to be a hard, staunch supporter of letting the kid Dillon Gabriel play next week, is that all I needed to see from Flacco was one game like this.
Yeah.
The stupid turnover. I'm not at some point, like, Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders can make that type of stupid, decision making that I saw today from Flacco. Get Flacco out of there. You gave him the courtesy and the benefit of the doubt. Look, we appreciate you. We respect you for that 2023 season. You gave us light and hope at the end of a dark tunnel. You took us to the playoffs, where obviously a crash and burn and fell apart, and the Texans embarrassed you on national TV. But we'll give you the courtesy. Pickett got hurt. You're the guy. See if you could get us to 0-2, or see if you could start us off hot here and you get us to 0-2. The disgusting fact of the matter is that if you would have won last week, something that I will be done speaking about after this week, but if you would have won last week, you're 1-1. You lost the game today that you were never going to be favorites in. You were you were double-digit dogs, and at least you're 1-1 in the division. The Steelers lose a game today. The Bengals, okay, regardless of what they do, you could have had them 1-1. The whole division could have been 1-1 after this week if you just would have done your job last week. A lot of people, and that's not Flacco's fault, but here you are, you're 0-2. So I got a couple things. Bubba Ventrone, whatever. If you want to keep him the rest of the year, he's fired after the end of this year. It's already week 2. Flacco's on the outs. I don't need to see him. Next week, I don't need to see any of Jerome Ford. Give me Samson and give me Judkins. And that's pretty much it. I guess you let Smith continue to kick because you don't really care if you win games moving forward.
Judkins I tell you what, he looked solid to me.
He looked good.
He looked really good to me. And listen, I don't want to bring up old wounds, but Pickett, I'm telling you, Pickett, I would have rather had Pickett in these situations, but I agree with you 100%. Now, is this going to be a Tim Couch situation? Are they going to put Gabriel in and he's going to get rocked? And are we going Gabriel has played college football for 6 years.
Yep.
Gabriel's played we know we've gone down the lineage of Dillon Gabriel. I agree. I think that is this a knee-jerk reaction? Probably. Because here's what's going to happen tomorrow. Stefanski's going to come in and he's going to say, we all got to do a better job.
Sure.
I got to call plays better. We didn't put Joe in a good situation, blah, 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 blah.
Which that's partially true, but it doesn't matter.
They're probably going to trot Joe out there next week because of the fact that the Packers are a buzzsaw and Micah Parsons may kill Dillon Gabriel in his first game. And you don't want that. My guess is they stick with Flacco, but I don't think I think you're right. I think we've seen enough of poor Joe. I was wrong. I thought we could, but you're right.
You
We're
weren't
not gonna
wrong, though.
lament-
You weren't wrong, though. That's the issue. You weren't wrong because once again, last week Joe Flacco played far than better enough to win. So you technically weren't wrong. It's just like this, like MZC says in the chat, like season's over. Like this was always going to be the best part mentally about this season because it was only going to take me a couple weeks to know if it's totally. But once again, even at 1-1, I would not be on here saying that we're making the playoffs. And all year, my consistent standpoint is that this roster is not good enough to do anything. So it really, really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But even at 1-1, in a game where, all right, Flacco, this is the type of quarterback he is. He's never going to play. He's 40 years old. He's never going to be the deciding factor as to why the Browns won the game. But he could be the adult in the room. He has the most experience, and he could put you in a position like he did a week ago for you to win the football game and to feel good about yourself that he could replicate that maybe 4 or 5 more times. And then hopefully somebody else steps up and can get you a couple of wins where you could maybe look at a season that wasn't a total waste, a total catastrophe, but we're already too far from being saved. It's already way too long gone. You're 0-2 in the division. You're 0-2 in the conference. You're 0-2 on the docket.
And that's why we said before the year started, the Bengals game was a must win.
Absolutely.
Because you see what happens, and now it snowballs because where does a victory come? Where do you see a victory coming? Because you really have, it's not getting any easier. I'll tell you that much right now.
And it kind of bothered me today too, and I don't know what it was.
Hold on, you're going to beat Minnesota in London?
No, absolutely not.
We haven't been over to London. I think Minnesota probably knows it better.
Yep, they do.
Pittsburgh. You're looking at Detroit. Obviously, I think they put up 54 today.
They look good today. Okay. They looked terrible last week. Everyone was concerned, and they turned it around this week.
So you're at Pittsburgh. So you're 0-6. Miami. I don't know. New England. So you could not have a win. You could be winless at the bye.
Absolutely. And what bothered me today was, I don't know what it was, the homecoming, the this and the that. They're talking about the storylines. They're showing Flacco's family in the stands. I just didn't, taking out the mistakes he made, I just didn't like how he looked all day. His body language was terrible. He looked totally different from last week. And maybe I got to take the blinders off and I have to get off the Kevin Stefanski isn't the problem train. I really don't want to, but it just seems like it happens all too much with these Kevin Stefanski offenses where, you're year 6 into this experiment with Stefanski and you have no idea what you're getting from this offense on any given week. And at some point you have to get rid of the excuses and the extenuating circumstances because sure, were we down both of our starting tackles? Okay, you have to have contingency plans for this. DeJuan Jones was injury prone last year. Jack Conklin has always been injury prone. It just seems like all day Flacco had his confidence went straight out the window. Like I felt like there was no signs of me watching a guy who's been in the league for 18 years today.
No.
And that's what you're paying him to do, regardless of how much it is. And that's what you're imploring him to be is, hey, can you go out there, throw for a couple hundred yards? You don't even need to really get in the end zone. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give the opposing defense an opportunity to score. And he just couldn't do that today whatsoever.
Where we had the rhythm last week in the sustained drives, this week we never had that. And it was like they were making him play left-handed. He really never got into any type. And here's the thing about DeJuan Jones being out. It may have been better because I think we ended up with 5 penalties on the game. Last week, we ended up with 7, and 6 of them, I don't have my notes in front of me. I think DeJuan Jones had 6 of the 7. Don't quote me, but he had most of the penalties last week.
We had 6 for 41 today, so
okay,
maybe a little bit better. And once again,
we had that criminal delay a game when it was. What are you guys doing there?
And it's like you only allow 2 sacks, but I feel like the pocket was so bad that you were just getting rid of the ball at some point. And like I said, I'll concede that the offensive line has issues. You know, a lot of people. I'm at the point where you might as well see what you have with Gabriel and Sanders, and they will do that this year. But the college football scene looks so bad that like. If you have 2 top 10 picks next year, you legitimately might see us take 2 offensive linemen. I wouldn't rule it out. This offensive line is in trouble moving forward. Conklin not going to be around much longer. Batonio will be retiring after this season. Teller not getting any younger. DeJuan Jones still a question mark. Zach Zinter doesn't even seem to exist. So you have a lot of issues, and maybe the silver lining is that maybe this quarterback class won't be that good coming out, so you don't have to feel like you have to take one. And I can't believe it, but it's unthinkable. You're already thinking to the 2026 draft, but here we are. I mean, come on, fire up the mock drafts, but you got to see at some point what you have to see with Gabriel. And what Gabriel did today means nothing to me. I didn't even really like that move. I know a lot of people wanted him out there. Oh, let's get him some game reps. I didn't even think that was necessary. I don't know why you would put him mid game. You might as well let him have a full week. But that's the thing. Here's the thing, Uncle. This is the question I have for you moving forward. Do you even trust Stefanski and this regime to be able to figure it out and come to the podium today or tomorrow and go, look, Gabriel's going to be our starter next week? Or is it going to be, oh, we don't really know, and then Gabriel's not getting the first team reps? I don't even trust him to do that.
He won't say. Of course, Stefanski's going to say nothing today.
Nothing.
He's going to come in tomorrow at noon and say nothing. We're going to have to review the film. And we got to do better. We got to clean it up. You know, he's going to give you the same shit that he's given you the last 6 years. They're going to be non-committal. I'm telling you, they're going to stick with Flacco. And then here's going to be the other situation. Gabriel is going to inherit a pile of shit. So Gabriel comes out, and if Gabriel isn't 15 for 15, now you're going to have your buddy, your hero, who you follow on your computer over there, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. They're all for Sanders, calling for Shedeur. They're all, and listen, when you're 0-6, 0-7, I'm going to say, hey, play the kid too. You know what I'm saying? You might as well, because none of these guys so far that we've seen, from Nussmeier to Aller to Arch with the shoulder, Lenora Sellers got hurt yesterday. None of these guys have wowed me that are, you know, like, wow, man, I want to see him in a Browns jersey next year.
Right.
So I would love to see, but I don't think the analytics tells the Browns to draft an offensive lineman with the first pick. I don't see that's in their. I don't see the analytical book doesn't tell them to do that, but maybe I'm.
And I think they'll be in for a rude awakening after this year shakes out and what the offensive line looks like. So I just don't think it's an issue right now. It just doesn't look good today. Surprisingly, if we wanted to hit a little bit of the silver lining, I guess, like, once again, you know, the stats, 244 total yards, 197 passing yards allowed, and 47 rushing yards. That has been the biggest surprise for me. I have been very impressed with this Cleveland Browns run defense. I thought it was going to be an issue, even though I had some inklings that the defense overall would be good. Their run defense has been the best in the league through 2 weeks. I don't even think that's debatable. I think they have a top 5, if top 10, if not top 5 defense right now in the league, and they're 0-2 for it. And you're going to say, well, you know, the Ravens scored the 41 points today. It didn't really shake out like that. Like, the Ravens are going to be good. They're going to be the top of the AFC, the AFC North for sure. And they're definitely going to be a top team in the AFC. Lamar Jackson did not look that good today. Derrick Henry looked very pedestrian today. And yes, this is a conservative game plan from Baltimore. Get in, get the win, get out on your home opener. I'm aware of that. You don't even have Lamar Jackson trying to run the ball. So I'm not naive.
I was surprised at that. He didn't even try.
Well, I don't know. They don't need to. They're having pre-game meetings all week. Why should we put Lamar in jeopardy? He's not going to need to run the ball. There was a point where I can't even remember I think it was 13-3. and they went for it and they scored the touchdown. It was 20-3, I believe.
Yeah.
And I said, this is a win-win for them because 16-3 would have been enough to close the ball game out anyway, because the Browns aren't scoring 17 points.
Yeah,
they're just not when it mattered. They're just not doing it. So they end up getting there, but they would playing the second stringers at the end of the game against Baltimore.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's week 2, and it looks like we're going to be in for a long season, and unless one of these kids comes in and gives us something to talk about. But I'm.
And how about the one touchdown that goes up in the air? Like, we were lucky to put up 17 points. Again, it's the same story last year.
That was a bad pass. I mean,
that was a terrible pass.
That was a bad. He was lucky that wasn't picked up. That was only a stroke of luck. And after 2 weeks, okay. So here's the thing. After one game, Stefanski's going to say that's a fantastic Baltimore defense. Blah 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 blah. They're not going to throw the towel in on Flacco. I'd be amazed.
So your position right now is that Flacco is going to be the week 3 starter.
I mean, for Gabriel's safety, I think they're going to put Flacco out there.
Come on, though, for his safety, like, you have 2 rookies, and I don't mean to be like that to throw Gabriel to the Wolves, but like, it's not like this is your guy.
Here's what'll happen. It's Green Bay's up 21-28 nothing at halftime. Whoever of us are still left at Huntington Bank Field with, that don't have bags over our I'm sure the neutrals and the Mick Ultras and the Busch Lights are going to be flowing.
Sure.
But the natives will be restless. They're going to be calling. Second half, maybe he'll go to them. But I just think Stefanski's going to be conservative. He's going to stick with it. After one bad game, you think he's going to get rid of them?
Oh, it's not that. It's just you're 0-2. Like I said, I'm going to keep coming back to that. If you weren't 0-2, it'd be a different conversation. And it's like, who got hurt this week?
We're done 0-2. It's
done.
Not like, we're 0-2. We could turn the corner.
It's not high school. So like, you can't rally the troops. Especially. So who are you going to have banged up going into Tuesday? So Denzel didn't play half the game.
Nope.
All right. So, okay. Bajorquez probably is not 100%. I know he comes back out, but it's not like he was still limping. Both of your tackles are hurt, or Dewan is bent, whatever is going on. Conklin's hurt, Dewan not playing good, hurt, bench, whatever it may be. I don't know. And the Ravens offense, outside of targeting Mitchell and Harden, they were terrible. They were horrible. They targeted our 2 worst defensive players, and they scored touchdowns every time they did it. So, Myles Garrett, I commend him for being a vocal leader. I think he's done a good job immaculate job through 2 games playing his role. And I think everything in all the nonsense he did in the offseason that me and you have discussed at length, he's acted and he's gone about his profession and how he is with the team, as good as he can through 2 games. It's really not going to matter at this point. It's really not going to matter.
We never seem to do that. We never seem to target when somebody has their best defensive player out. We never seem to take advantage.
Nope.
But why a good offensive scheme, a good coordinator? You were exactly right. They picked on the 2 guys that they knew they should pick on, and that's when they had their success.
And credit to Todd Monken and credit to Lamar Jackson. Like I said, MVP candidate, but it's like you've played 2 games against teams that you need to beat to be able to be competent in your own division and potentially make the playoffs, and it just hasn't been there. Like even the Bengals game, there were moments in that Bengals game where it's like, yeah, you knew that the Browns weren't that good, and they still should have won that game. I mean, Mike
Bengals are 2-0, right? Bengals are 2-0.
Correct. And Mike puts it gracefully here. Announcers said it. Flacco gives us the best chance to win, but what are they trying to win? 2 games? I mean, this is Vegas so far outside of week 1 has this outfit pegged very correctly. 3.5 win team total and 11.5 point dogs today. You could have took the alternate spread and you could have retired early today. You could have turned the game off at halftime at 20 at 17 or whatever it was, 20-3 or 20, whatever it may have been.
I was banging that over 4.5. I was laddering over 4.5, over 5.5, and I don't know where they're coming from, man. I mean, it does. You do soften up a little bit at the end of the year. I mean, but I don't know.
Those are the games we'll win. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like this season has Cleveland Browns written all over it. We'll be 0-6, 0-7, and we'll win a couple games at the end of the year, and we'll somehow we won't even get the first overall pick. We'll end up getting the second or third because we decided to beat Miami and we decided to beat New England and we decided to beat some of these teams at the back end of the schedule. If you flipped this schedule around, we're talking about a totally different season here. And of course, but it's not like it, like I said, everything all roads lead to one place. It doesn't really matter. This team is not, listen, there's guys on this team, Uncle, that are not NFL talent players. Miles Harden, Mitchell, they are not even practice squad guys. Trade Greg Newsome to Dancing with the effing Stars. We would get a good return back. You'd get a good skill player, a good coach, some guy who could come in and lead get him to Dancing with the Stars. He could win over there. He ain't winning with us.
I still believe our roster is better than the Patriots roster. I think we have a solid roster. It's just we're young in some areas. And yes, the problem where we lack is depth. Just like, look at last night. You had Ohio University play. No, listen, they played an excellent first half with Ohio State because their ones can compete. Their ones can compete and hang around. They have no depth. We have no depth. It's what happens is the Big Ten teams have just like when you were in high school. Your fourth string was better than Lakewood's starters.
They got five stars sitting on the bench.
Right. And the Browns have no depth. And that's the problem. And you see, it's just, that's where they need to build depth on the roster. And right now, that's where Barry should be. You know, you got to pick. That's why maybe it's not a bad thing if we don't have the first overall pick. Because they'll have 6 months to DePodesta and Barry, and they'll be sitting in there figuring out with their analytical book, and they'll be figuring out what the hell to do. And then to be the smartest guy in the room, they'll outsmart everybody.
And it just seems like and we talk about it every week, you know, I could come on here and do a show every day about how we're wasting Denzel's career. We're wasting Myles Garrett's career. We wasted Nick Chubb's career. We're wasting Joel Bitonio's career. We obviously, everybody knows that we wasted Joe Thomas's career, but it's like, this is not a team. This roster should not be in this place where I cannot believe we were even in the playoffs 2 years ago. Oh. That feels like 2 lifetimes ago we were playing that game in Houston, and we all know how that game ended. But it's like, you know, when you're paying the quarterback $250 million and the fan base is just hoping he doesn't get shown on the broadcast, like you're not for a team that for normal franchises and normal fan bases who their team has won multiple playoff games, has been in AFC championship games, has been in Super Bowls. You're not upset with this team because you are trying to build depth, but when it's the Browns, it's like you've been doing this for 30 years at this point. Like I'm excited about the future of this team, but when you have to sit here and every year you have to say, oh, maybe next year it gets old, but you have to be at least somewhat intrigued with Isaiah Bond, Fannin, Judkins, Sampson, 2 rookie quarterbacks who you haven't seen yet, Schlesinger, Mason Graham looked great today, but it's like, all right, by the time I'm talking with my buddies in a group chat, and one of my buddies says, he goes, by the time we're going to have to turn around and pay this defense, and by the time that it gets stripped to the bones, these new guys are going to be ready to go, and all these other guys who we actually are decent on defense are going to be making money elsewhere, or they're going to, you know how it goes. All this talent's going to get recycled out. So the timeline of this franchise, per the usual, seems messed up.
What about, you brought up a point I haven't even thought about today. Did you see number 4 on the sidelines?
No, I'm not looking for him. Who cares about that guy?
What about if he's by game 4, you got to make a decision on him.
That's interesting too. That'll be the next headline to look at.
Flacco's toast. You got the 2 kids They got to make a decision. You're paying him. He's healthy. We all saw the Instagram video or whatever that he put out, which means nothing. Which really, he doesn't have pads on.
I'm under the impression they'll cut someone and roster 4 quarterbacks, in my opinion.
They should have cut someone and rostered Kenny Pickett, but I'm still sore about that. But they're going to have a decision to make, and then what do? If he's on the sidelines, he's the $1 million man, the $240 million man. I mean, is it asinine to play him? Absolutely. Why would you give him reps over to a possible future quarterback?
Absolutely.
But would it surprise you with this team?
And I'm going to be honest with you too. And a lot of stuff is fluid, and the NFL is very wacky. The Browns are pretty consistently unwatchable, and consistently tough to talk about and think about and watch. I'm on board with that, but I think a lot of people are underestimating too the fire sale that you could see from this front office before this deadline. I am very, very serious. Njoku trade, a lot of guys who are coming up on deals here. I wouldn't be surprised if
they trade number 4. Let's get a fire sale for him. Trade him.
Well, you can't. Well, that would be like, wait, all right. It's not even possible to trade him. It's not even. But once again, I wouldn't even be surprised if you. I wouldn't be surprised if you put Gabriel in here and he looks okay and they shop him. I'm being so serious. I think that the bounds this front office will go to, because I think that. But my thing is, when does it stop? So if you've committed that this year is going to be bad, are you giving Stefanski and Barry a whole nother year next year to be? It's just we're in such a bad spot all around.
Who are you going to shop Gabriel to?
Anybody. Doesn't matter.
Rebuilding team.
Apparently, there's interest for him.
How come today we didn't even talk about it? How come do they wait till today to bring up, the Ravens were going to draft Shedeur in the 5th round? Why did they wait till today to drop that little Easter egg? Just because it's something to talk about? Of course, Shedeur doesn't want to sit behind Lamar. It makes sense. At least draft me to the chaos in Cleveland.
Sure.
Because chances are, if the Browns drafted my nephew Jeffrey, he may have a chance of suiting up this year.
Well,
so Shedeur is going to take his chance of going to Cleveland. With Lamar, the only chance he's got of playing is like today, a mop-up time when Cooper Rush came in.
Unfortunately, the most fascinating part of this week was the off the field back and forth, because that was the Ravens being an experienced organization and leaking that because of some of the stuff we said this week, to kind of be like, hey, you guys took the guy that we wanted, but it really doesn't matter because he would have been a backup for everybody anyway. To me, that's the Ravens organization telling one of the scouts or one person in the front office to leak that to Schefter to kind of take just another shot across our bow in a game that they were very confident and they knew they were going to win. So the off the field words, I'm actually a little bit proud of our defense because they did back up their words. Granted, you give up 41 points and the people are just box score watching. It's not going to reflect like that. But at the end of the day, this team's headed towards a top 3 draft pick again. You have to see what you have right now, and you're sitting down every week to watch it, to watch the 2 quarters or the 3 quarters that you could stomach, just to see how these rookies look. That's where you're at right now. That's where I'm at. Go ahead.
I do agree with you. I was glad that we chirped this week. I thought it was ballsy of Delpit to say that about Henry, and they backed it up. I mean, 11 rushes for 24 yards, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter, and you really can't blame them. Short fields, stupidity on offense. I mean, you can't blame the defense. We've said it over and over. Here we go, 0-2, and this is. Like we said, it can go a couple of ways, and here we go. We're looks like we're a year away from being a year away again.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about it this week. But how the Packers are a buzzsaw. I can't wait to see what Stefanski and what everybody says after this game and what they say tomorrow and moving forward. He's good. I'll be amazed if he doesn't stick with Joe.
Fair enough. Well, Browns get destroyed in week 2. Really was the funny part. It was competitive for 2.5
quarters,
2.5, 3/4, but it doesn't really matter. You give up 21 points in the fourth quarter, 41-17 final from Baltimore, 0-2. You already have 2 divisional losses. You already have 2 losses in the conference. The schedule only gets harder, in my opinion, the next 4 weeks. I think Green Bay is better than both teams we've played. I think the Steelers are better than Cincinnati. I think the game in London is just BS anyway. Regardless, you could be playing the worst. You could be playing the Browns could be playing themselves in London. We would find a way to lose. So here we are. All right, we'll be back this week. Robert there, Jeffrey here. Maybe we'll start talking about, I don't know. Maybe we'll start talking about the Cavs. I can't believe it, but
something.
Here we are. All right. If you made it this long, like button, comment down below. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you
folks.
being the pulse of it all. Peace.
Peace.